My fellow students, it has been an honor to speak to you today about the current state of our world. We come at an important time for students and our future. At the crossroads of where our next generation of students and student leaders will stand. I can name one president. He said that mankind went to the moon not because it is easy, but because it is hard. We come at such time again. This pandemic and the events it has covered has shown how volatile our democracy is, especially in schools and communities. At my young age, it has been well taught that I myself must succumb to the values of the past. That being a sign of contrite is that being sorry is a contrite of weakness. Is a sign that it is a weakness. But in the 21st century world, that's not the way we must look to each other. Our generation stands here and proves to the world that change is always possible. Positive change is always possible. As a student, I see myself that the vision of the future must stand today. Our democracy, our vision, and the promise of this generation must stand firm. We must stand not the values of the 1950s, but the 21st century. So tonight I want to speak to you as a student and as a student leader. What you can do for your community and your country. One of the essentials of democracy is freedom of speech, but it is not practiced. Our generation's voices are being suppressed by the same people who said that they respect the Constitution, giving them the free speech. I know that family is important to you as it is to us, but we must recognize that the ideas of our generation must be respected. And yet, you still don't get it. Take climate change, for example. More than half of us think that climate change is a crisis. Yet, globally, it is not a case. We heard talk in Glasgow about and we hope about climate change, and we hope world leaders can achieve real, meaningful results. We are not respected. We feel removed and detached because of close-minded people, especially boomers. We value each other. We value our communities, in person or online. We value independence in real life or online. That is why youth suicide is up. Youth homelessness is up. Respect and values for us means more than just words. It's also the actions. And speaking of suicide, we haven't talked about mental health. One of the 4 fundamental freedoms that President Franklin Delano Roosevelt pointed out was freedom of fear. Yet, almost 80 years later, that freedom has not been guaranteed to the majority of students. Subjects that don't help students on what they want to be, like scientists or movie makers or streamers or chefs or analysts or community leaders or even being a CEO. I mean, how can biology solve depression? How can algebra teach about creating world peace? How can chemistry reduce poverty? It does not. Rather, its effects on students are destructive. More than half of us say that homework is a primary stressor. And by the way, the same people who advocate for the standards are the same people who believe climate change is not real. So not only are they hypocritical, we have more knowledge than they have. That's why I want to talk to you today. Because, my fellow students, we cannot sit here or we cannot sit by and wait for another time. We need to act now. We cannot turn back now. Not with so much to do to perfect an imperfect world. Because at this moment, we can build a better future for every student and every person. That is why I stand before you today to announce that we are launching a campaign for student-led change called the Children's Student Democratic Union, because we believe that student democracy must prevail in our world. If we believe that our generation's promise of change, diversity, and respect, then we need to ensure and can ensure to each other the world we seek is better than the world we found. Away from the times of misogyny and homophobia to a better world of stability and peace. Because the world of tomorrow is what we find in our phones and gadgets, either from our streamers and audiences who give comfort and laughter, to gamers who want to defeat the Ender Dragon or be the last person standing. The values being pressed to many of us are the values of the 1950s. The notion that men should be the provider only and women should be only in the house is wrong. One news outlet says it the best. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are increasingly relevant in the world of work, and these issues are particularly important to the members of Gen Z. Now, before you go to my former social media pages, let me stress this. I am not here for clout, but I am here as a voice from a conservative country whose values are still confounded in the 1950s and the 1970s. I myself did some things and some said some things and did some things that are unacceptable to many, and I apologize in advance. I have changed since the last guy who spoke saying that gay people shouldn't be existed, or since the guy who supported Trump. I come here today because I believe in the students. Believe in students. Because I believe that there needs to be a change. Our frustrations and anger must go to action so that we can begin to march forward to a better world. Because if we truly believe in each other's promise of hope, and if together we can create that better world, we can tell. This is the moment. This is the time we start to heal our land, fix the broken system, and perfect an imperfect world. Because I believe in the power of students to make a change in our schools and in our world. Because I believe our time is now. Because if we believe that we're all in this together, and that we cannot turn back on the promise of change, then I ask you, fight in your school for the change we see. Whether it is changing a part of the menu in the cafeteria, or making sure that your school is inclusive for everyone, or to make sure that your school fights for you on climate action, it is time for us to stand up for change. We know that the stacks of cards are against us. It's staggering. And we know why. The people on the top and the 1% cannot hear us nor understand us. They just want to make money for themselves. It must stop. The notion that testing is the breach of one's smartness is through the knowledge of atoms and endless cauldron of calculations is simply untrue. We are smart in our capacity. We must fight tooth and nail for the change we need. We must fight long and hard for the change we seek. And in the end, when the impossible question arises again, we are asked, can we do this? We can say, yes, we can, and yes, we will, because right now is the time for the change we need. Yes, it is a long road. Yes, it is a long path, but we can travel that together. There will be some setbacks, but in the end, it is a better promise and a better place. Yes, there will be some naysayers, but we must keep our eyes fixed on that horizon, and we can say that our generation is the greatest generation ever, not because of how we kill each other, but how we treat each other with fairness and love. Yes, my fellow students, yes we can, yes we will. Let's go and change the world, my fellow students. Thank you, God bless you, and may God bless all of us in this great nation and in this great world. Let's change the world. Thank you very much. Thank you.